Okay, this is all about adding or subtracting integers. So the first example is about adding a positive number, such as 3 plus positive 2. We start at 3 and we go 2 steps to the right. So that means we end up at 5. Even if the first number is negative, that's where we start. So we start on the number line here at negative 3 and we go 2 steps to the right because we're adding a positive 2, and we end up at negative 1 in this case. So when we add, which is the operation, and that's the number in the middle, when we add a positive number, we always end up going to the right, such as a screen arrow shows. So here's some examples of that. Positive 3 plus negative 3, that's not a very good example, we'll leave that one out for now. Positive 4 plus 2, let's see if we can get our number line thing to work here. So we're starting at 4 steps over to the right, and then we're adding 2 more. So we're going to get our second number and we're going to add 2 further steps, so we end up with 6. So I'll just write that one down. Positive 4 plus positive 2 is 6. Next one here is 5 plus positive 3. So our start number, our red one, is at 5, and we're going 3 steps to the right, as always with adding positive numbers, and we're ending up at 8. And positive 2 plus positive 5, first number starts at 2, and we're going 5 steps up, so we're ending up at 7. Get the pen, and the answer to that is 7. So I'll just do another example that's not on here that I thought I did have on. If we start with a negative number like negative 4, and we plus a positive number like positive 3, we still go 3 steps to the right, but we're just starting out lower than a lot of these start numbers. So on the number line we start here at negative 4. Just move this guy over. There's our start number. So we've done that one, and then we're going 3 steps to the right. So there's the blue arrow, and that means we end up at negative 1. Get my pen going. Equals negative 1. So it doesn't matter where we start, it's the direction of the plusing the positive. So there's a lot of pluses in the middle there. The integer that we're adding on is positive, and the operation is positive. And it's actually quite possible that we can have our start number and we can replace our positive number here with just 1 plus. So we can just change this in the middle to just 1 plus. So the first one would be positive 4 plus 2, or 4 plus 2, 5 plus 3, 2 plus 5. And it's simple. This is simple addition that we're very used to. Okay, next one here is when we subtract a positive number. The operation is take away, the big operation here that's in between the 4 and the positive 3. So the 3 is charged. So we're starting at 4 and we are going to the left 3 steps. So this first example here shows that, and that adds up at 1. So the answer is 1. And if we start with a negative number and we subtract a positive number, we still go 3 steps to the left, but we're starting negative here at negative 2, and we go 3 steps further negative or further under, so we land up at negative 5. So the important thing here is subtracting a positive. We are always going that way with the operation. For example, positive 5 minus positive 3. We can start here with the first number on 5, and minusing a positive means we go to the left 3 steps, so we're going to end up at 2. And the next one here, positive 2 minus positive 5, starting off at 2, plus a negative means that we go 5 steps to the left when we add a negative. There we go, 5 steps that way, lands us up on the -3. -3 is the answer. -3 minus +2, so let's just reset that, and -3 is our start point, and we're taking away 2 steps, so we're going 2 steps to the left. So there's that equation there, -3 plus -2 or -2 lands us up at -5. And -5 minus +5, have a guess to see what you think it'll be. I'm going to start us off here at -5. I'm going to go 5 steps further to the left or further negative, so I'm going to end up at -10. So when I subtract a positive, I can replace the operation and the positive sign just with one negative, so it's like 5 take away 3. So this one here becomes 5 or +5 minus 3. So minusing a positive is just subtracting, taking away, and I can replace this set of operations with the minus, these two signs, one being the operation, one being a charge, with a minus, and I can replace those two there with -5. So -5 minus 5 is -10. Okay. And some people like to think of subtraction as, well, I guess, no, I'll say that one again. When we subtract a positive number, the little plus in front of the 3 doesn't really come into it. It doesn't count because we're just taking away standard old 3, which is what this one shows. So don't let the little charge on top put you off for a takeaway. It's still a takeaway because we're still going in this direction, down, less. Right? We're minusing, so we're going smaller down the number line or towards the 0 or towards the more negative numbers. Okay, adding a negative number is actually a subtraction type step. We end up going to the left. So in this example here, I'm starting at 9 and we are adding -3, so we're going 3 steps down. That's like taking away 3. So this first one here, I can actually replace that with 9 take away 3 is 6. So where we had 9 adding or plus a negative number, 9 plus, that's the operation, that's the charge, a negative, I can replace this system of signs here with a minus, as I have done up here. Okay, and so that's 6, 3 steps that way. This next example here, I'm starting with -1 on my number line, that's my start point, and I'm taking away 2, or I'm adding -2, so I'm going 2 steps to the left, down. So the answer there is -3. Let's look at some more examples of how this all works. Adding a negative, +7 plus -3. So my start number is at 7. And if I'm adding a -3, it's like taking 3 steps away, or I go in the left direction down towards 0. So I'm ending up at 4. And +3 plus -5. I'm starting off at 3 on my number line here, and I'm going 5 steps this way to the left. So I land up on -2. Make my tool the pen tool. -2 is the answer. And this one here, -4 plus -3. Now this one here, the start number is a negative number. And that's okay, that's just where we start our operations on -4, so there's our start point, and then we take a look at the operation and the sign. So we're going to go 3 steps that way in the takeaway direction. So from -4, we're going to take the second operation 3 steps this way, and we're going to land up on -7, so that's our answer. -7 is the answer. And this one, -5 plus -2, see if you can guess it. negative 5 is where we start. There we are on the red. 2 steps further smaller or further away from negative 5 lands us up on negative 7. And the last one, negative 2 plus negative 2, you would be correct if you believe that that's negative 4. Negative 2 is our start. 2 steps to the left, negative 4 is the answer. So with all these examples here that we've just gone through, the important thing is the direction of the movement or the operational side, and in all cases we were going in this direction, down. Okay, next one is subtracting a negative, and that's actually the strangest one to understand, because when we subtract a negative, we're doing two things. We're going in a minus direction and we are minusing a negative number, and so we're doing the takeaway twice, and it's a bit like turning around and walking backwards. So you're actually facing the wrong way, like a negative, as if you're going to go in the negative direction, but you're walking backwards as well. Or a double negative, and not is another way to think of it. So 3 minus negative 2 is the case where we start at 3, that's our first number, so we always start the operation with the first number, but we actually end up going 2 steps in that direction. Okay, so the answer to that is 5. And with all of these, when we subtract a negative, we can replace that with a positive. So this next one here, negative 2 minus negative 5, ends us up here 5 steps over, should be at 3. So if I write that one down here, negative 2 minus negative 5, we can replace the takeaway and the charge, the negative, so we can replace the operation, which is this one here, and the negative with a plus. So it's a little bit like plus 2 with this, or minus 2, sorry, because this one doesn't change, that's just where we're starting, plus 5. So negative negative is like plus, because we're going over that way, and that one actually ended up at plus 3 or 3. So we can put the little charge on the plus 3 like that, or we can just write it as 3. Last one, negative 3 minus negative 2. We're starting at negative 3 and we're going 2 steps to the right. This one looks like it's a bit skew with, but the answer is negative 1. I think my picture's just slid over. Let's look at some other number examples of subtracting a negative. So subtracting a negative is like going to the right. First example, we're starting at positive 3, so that's our start position. And we're going 4 steps to the right from the 3. So here we are on the operation. See if it's going to move for me. So we're here at positive 3 and we're taking 4 steps in this direction, lands up at 7. Next one, positive 3 minus negative 2. Starting off at 3, minusing a negative as we're going in this direction, so landing up at 5. Next one, negative 5 minus negative 2. The first number is where we start off, and that's at negative 5 over here. And the second number, the second operation with the sign, is the direction we go. Minusing a negative is 2 steps to the right, so we end up at negative 3. Let's put the pen tool on. That's negative 3. So we can replace that minus minus with a plus, and that one, and the one on the first example. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. Last one here, negative 6 minus negative 6. Our number line is probably a little bit short to stretch this to this one. The number line is not big enough. We're negative 6 and we're going 6 steps, which way? Yep, this way. So we're going to land up, we can't actually go far enough there, we can only go 4 steps over, but we're going to land up on negative 12. Beautiful. Okay, let's just look at a summary here at the end. If we add a positive number, we end up going green to the right of the number line, and it doesn't matter if our first number starts below or above 0, just imagine it starting there on the number line, and then you're always adding a positive goes that way. So adding a positive is like an overall plus. Okay. Adding a negative number, such as 3 add negative 2, it's the same as an overall minus, because we're going in this direction and we can replace this as 3 minus 2. The next one here, we are subtracting a positive, 3 subtracting positive 2. That's effectively a whole takeaway business in there, and it's very similar to adding a negative as the second rule above. So these two are actually the same. So adding a positive number here is similar to adding a negative is similar to minusing a positive. It's just a takeaway. So we can subtract, we can just replace the operation and the sign in the middle of the operation with minus. And the last one is subtracting a negative. 3 take away negative 2. That's very similar. Well, it is similar to an addition operation overall. Alright, so the negative goes in that direction, which we know as plus, and that lands us up as 5. And we can replace subtract a negative with a plus sign. We can just change that because that's an equivalent. The steps we have to do here is equivalent to an addition operation, so we're just simplifying. So if you remember those rules, you should be fine for adding and subtracting integers, and you probably do need to do some practices so that you cement your knowledge and that you don't get confused.